Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope your day and your week have been going very well so far. Got a new day, which of course means a new MLB Player Prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. With a new day comes some new opportunities to go ahead and make some money. I have 4 MLB player props to go ahead and share with you guys in today's MLB slate. We're coming off another rough performance yesterday. Day 2 of our ladder challenge ended very quickly. A very bad day. And again, we're off to a little bit of a cold start, or a cold start to our MLB season, but we just keep getting up the next day and trying again. And that's the beauty of life. If you're lucky enough, if you're fortunate enough, you get to wake up the next day and try again. So we're going to go ahead and try again today. Of course, if you want to fade me, you could go ahead and fade me. You'd probably be up a lot of money so far this season if you fade me. That's why I keep making the picks, because win or lose, there's value in my picks, either from a fade perspective or a ride perspective. Either way, there's value in these picks. So 4 MLB player props coming your way right now. Jumping right into the outlier screen, guys. I cannot wait for when we finally snap out of this funk. Maybe it's today. Who knows? And we get hot. Because when we get hot, we're going to stay hot for a while. I just know it. But our first player prop in today's slate, we're targeting the Rockies-Phillies game, 1:05 p.m. first pitch. We're going Kris Bryant of the Colorado Rockies over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, which we're getting for plus 115 over on BetMGM. Now, guys, I'm not throwing a full unit. This is probably a half unit play on this player prop. It's a bit risky, but I do like the matchup. Now, the data is not good. Let's be honest. He has yet to cash this year. 0-4 so far this year. He did finally get his first hit of the season yesterday against the Phillies, but even last year, just a 35% hit rate. He only played 37 games last year, but in those 37 games, he only cashed it in 13 of the 37. And from a head-to-head perspective, dating back to last season, just one of his last 5 games against Philly, he's cashed the over. So, Tassa, with the record you have so far this year, why would you ever think to take a player prop like this? Well, look down below at the key matchup stats, and you've got ourselves a pretty good matchup. Since 2018, Kris Bryant has 12 plate appearances against Taijuan Walker, 300 batting average in those 12 plate appearances with 3 hits, 1 home run, 1 RBI, just a 16.7% strikeout rate. 12 plate appearances is a pretty decent sample size when you're talking head-to-head numbers for a batter against a pitcher. And looking down below at the splits here, it's really, really solid. Kris Bryant last year, in a small sample size, he only had 155 plate appearances. He had just a 218 batting average overall. However, versus right-handed pitchers, you did see those numbers increase to a 253 batting average, as well as a massive jump from a 69.8. We'll go ahead and save the pause for applause there because it's got the 0.8 on it. 69.8 WRC plus, and it increases to 100.7 WRC plus. So his numbers took a drastic upswing when facing off with right-handed pitchers. He struggled mightily versus lefties. And then we look at Taijuan Walker's numbers last year. Did not have a very good season. 7.10 ERA, 3.17 batting average allowed. However, it got even worse when facing off with right-handed batters. A 7.62 ERA, 3.37 batting average allowed, 3 home runs per 9 innings, and a 4.45 WOBA. Are there other batters that could have selected, right-handed batters on the Rockies that could have selected? Sure, but Kris Bryant has a little bit of a history versus him as well. Again, not a massive history, but still, 3 hits and 12 plate appearances. That's a 300 batting average. That's pretty solid. I'm going to go ahead and rock with Kris Bryant here. It's plus money odds too. We'll throw half a unit on it. Hopefully he's due and he has a big game today. If we're wrong, we're wrong, but I do like the matchup here for Kris Bryant. So it's our first player prop in today's slate. For our second player prop in today's slate, we're moving on to the Red Sox-Orioles game, 1:05 p.m. first pitch. We're going Charlie Morton of the Baltimore Orioles over 4.5 hits allowed. Now, this one is not as good from an odds standpoint. We're getting it for minus 145 over on DraftKings. But unlike the last player prop, the data for this one is really, really solid. And looking back at last season, he had a 67% hit rate on this over last year. He cashed it in 20 out of 30 games last season, averaging 5.13 hits per game last year. So some pretty good numbers, a consistent casher of this line. So far this year, he's pitched 1 game. He had 7 hits allowed in his debut this year against the Blue Jays. So some pretty good numbers to start the year, some pretty good numbers last year as well with Charlie Morton. And looking down below at the matchup versus the Boston Red Sox. Now, the Red Sox obviously off to a little bit of a slow start. They did play better yesterday, had 10 hits and beat the Orioles yesterday. But it's been an up and down start to the year, to say the least. However, look at the numbers last year. Boston batting versus right-handed pitchers. They were the third best offense in Major League Baseball in terms of batting average against right-handed pitchers. Number 1 in BABIP. Now, obviously, so far this year, it's not nearly as good or anywhere close to as good, but a lot of the same pieces are still there. And honestly, the offense on paper is better than where it was last year. So we had some cold starts. A lot of guys are not, especially Devers, who finally got a couple hits yesterday. It hasn't been great, but hopefully yesterday was the start of them kind of waking up and maybe turning the engines on and getting going. Charlie Morton's a pretty good matchup. I mean, he's a guy who gives up a lot of hits, 251 batting average overall allowed last year, 306 BABIP. Not the best numbers you'd like to see, 4.19 ERA. Not the worst pitcher in baseball by any means, but not the best either. I do think it's a solid matchup for Boston here. We have no head-to-head data to go off of, but again, he cashed it pretty consistently all year long last year. Even if you want to go to the last 20 games, which includes their one game this year that he started, 16 of his last 20 he's cashed this over. So pretty consistently cashing. Boston has the pieces to go ahead and take advantage of the matchup here. Zach Eflin gave up 8 hits yesterday for Baltimore, so I don't see why Charlie Morton can't give up 5 hits today. So it's our second player prop in today's slate. By the way, guys, if you are watching today's video at this point, please comment "fade me" down below in the comments, because right now, guys, if you've been fading me this year, you've been making a lot of money. If you've been riding with me, I apologize. I'm sorry. It's going to turn around. I keep saying every video, and every video we lose, but I'm telling you guys, it's early. These early season things is very difficult because we have no information to go off of. We're going off of basically all outdated data. We're trying to use some of the recent data, but there isn't a ton to go off of. So as the weeks go on and we get more information and more analytics and more data coming in, we will definitely pick our record up here. So yeah, go ahead and comment "fade me" down below in the comments if you are still watching at this point in today's video. Our third player prop in today's slate, we're moving on to the Astros-Twins game, 4:10 p.m. first pitch. We're going Christian Walker of the Houston Astros, under 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, which we're getting for -150 odds right now over on BetMGM. Again, data is pretty solid on this player prop. So far this year for Christian Walker, an 83% hit rate on this under. He's cashed the under in 5 straight games. The only game so far this year he's actually cashed the over was their season opener against the Mets, where he had 1 hit and 1 run. But since then, 5 straight games he's cashed the under, averaging .67 hits, runs, RBIs per game overall this year. Even looking back to last season, he did cash a good amount last year, 52% hit rate, 67 out of 129 games last year. He cashed the over, averaging 2.14 hits, runs, RBIs per game last season. So pretty solid data across the board here. Also, the head-to-head data is solid. Small sample size, yes, but solid nonetheless. 2 of his last 3 matchups against the Minnesota Twins, he's cashed the under as a 67% hit rate, averaging 1.33 hits, runs, RBIs per game across those last 3 matchups. Now, looking down below at the key matchup stats here versus Joe Ryan, it's a small sample size, 3 plate appearances since 2018. He has 1 hit off of him, but no RBIs, nothing else. Not a lot to go off of there with three at bats against this pitcher. But Christian Walker overall last year, 251 batting average versus right-handed pitchers. You did see a decrease to 240, which is okay. In the pitching matchup versus Joe Ryan, 3.60 ERA overall last year, 2.17 batting average. You do see his numbers slightly increase here when facing off with right-handed batters, but even at the increased line, it's still not bad. Like a 3.49 ERA versus right-handed batters, an increase. Actually, that's a decrease, excuse me. But for example, his batting average allowed, right? 217 batting average allowed last year. When he faced off with right-handed batters, it increased to 229. 229 batting average allowed still isn't that bad. 1.3 home runs per 9, it's the same as his overall numbers. His WOBA does increase to 297, but again, not terrible. The Astros have been a really rough hitting team so far this year, kind of a slow start for their offense, including Christian Walker. So not the best matchup of all time necessarily, but the data seems to be pretty solid, especially this year so far. Again, 5 straight games he's cashed the under, and you can go ahead and look at that right here. Last 5 game data, averaging just 0.4 hits, runs, RBIs per game over the last 5 games. So yeah, I think it's a pretty decent spot to go ahead and take a chance on. It's -150 odds, a little high from an odds standpoint, but worth taking a look at as a player prop. All right, guys, and our fourth and final player prop in today's slate, moving on to the Reds-Brewers game, 7:40 p.m. first pitch. We're going Nick Lodolo of the Cincinnati Reds over 1.5 earned runs, which we're getting for -150 over on DraftKings. So far this year, he's pitched 1 game versus the Giants. He had 2 earned runs in that game, so he's got a 100% hit rate so far this year. Not really what I'm looking at, though. I'm really looking at last year's numbers. He cashed a 71% hit rate last year. 15 out of 21 games he cashed the over, averaging 2.9 earned runs per game last year. And he's cashed this in each of his last 10 games to finish off the year last year. So he had a really, I mean, some of these games, 2 earned runs, I guess, isn't terrible for a pitcher, but you see some of these performances, I mean, 8 earned runs. He had some pretty bad starts toward the end of last year. So pretty good data, a lot of green across the board here for Nick Lodolo. And even from a head-to-head perspective, the last time he faced off with Milwaukee on August 11th of last year, he had 3 earned runs and what was a 4-3 win for the Reds. So the Reds won that game despite him giving up 3 runs against the Brewers. So pretty good data across the board here. And again, minus 150, a little high from an odds standpoint, but this is a guy who consistently cashes this line. Now, the Brewers last year versus left-handed pitchers were a pretty decent team. Not a great team, but a decent team. Even so far this year, as an overall offense and versus left-handed pitchers through, 5 or 6 games, they're about middle of the road. They're not a great offensive team, but they're not a bad offensive team either. I don't think it's a bad matchup here. And again, Lodolo, all the numbers are in our favor for Lodolo. Now, his numbers from a batting average perspective actually weren't that bad. 231 batting average allowed, but a 4.76 ERA is not great. 290 BIP, again, not great for him. Pretty good for us. Like I said, the numbers seem to be pretty solid, and he's already cashed this once this year. The Brewers, not a great offensive team, but an okay offensive team. I think they're good enough to at least score 2 runs here off of Nick Lodolo. So that's our 4th player prop in today's slate. And guys, that is it for me today. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. One more time, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. We'll be back tomorrow with another MLB Player Prop video. Tomorrow is the first Freaky Friday of the MLB season. Look, we can't even hit a couple picks. Can we hit a 5-leg parlay? We're going to find out tomorrow, guys. But thank you very much for the continued support. I know we've had a bad start. I can only shit on myself so much. We've had a really bad start to the year, but we're gonna get out of it, guys. Just bear with me, and in the meantime, maybe just consider fading me. I guess, I don't know, but be careful fading me, because when I do get hot, I'm gonna stay hot. So that's it for me today. Thank you very much, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, hope you're all winners. Let's please, let's go ahead and make some money.